What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the Loose Wheels podcast. I'm Ethan. That's Andrew. Back for episode number 6. What you guys don't need to know is that we just spent almost an hour of our lives not recording the podcast, but we are here and ready to review some championship NASCAR races, F1 Brazil, the WEC series finale, got some news, and a fun little segment later on in the show. Andrew, you want to start with the NASCAR Truck Series race in Phoenix?
So, in the beginning, it looked like it was going to be Heim. He dominated the first portion of the race. On Carson Hocevar, there was a caution. Carson Hocevar did a different strategy that got him ahead of Heim. Heim was on fresher tires, working his way through the field. And Heim passed Hocevar, and Hocevar hit him. Some people saying it was intentional, but based on Hocevar's reaction throughout the rest of the race, I don't think it was. So I kind of took Heim out. And after that, there was a bunch of chaos with a lot of wrecks. A lot of people in NASCAR saying the Truck Series needs to be better in its respect or in lack thereof of respect.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a lot of chaos, and then there was some green flag run near the end. Hocevar had pitted for tires, was making his way up through the field, and Heim just door slams him. That set up more chaos and overtime with about 25 laps of overtime, which then had Ben Rhodes winning the championship. And we got to see Ben Rhodes' drunk press conference number 2, which was fun. Once you're done with listening to this, go watch that because that is great fun.
Yeah. Also, big ups to Ben Rhodes getting me a pick point for the race.
Yeah. Christian Eckes won the race, I will say that. Yeah. Lack of respect in the Truck Series. It is a developmental series, so I'll give them room to work here. It's a developmental series. You're young. You're getting used to this. You're figuring things out. But the level of chaos we saw on Friday night was just too much. And that late in the race, the championship.
Yeah.
Most of the guys, what they're fighting for is just 1 or 2 positions higher in the standings. You don't need to be fighting that hard, is my opinion.
It was some really, really messy racing for the last race of the season, especially. Not really what you want to see. I don't think there's really anything you can do to kind of change that in the future. That's just kind of a little bit unfortunate how it played out for this race.
Xfinity, I was there. I got to watch the qualifying for Xfinity on Saturday, qualifying for Cup on Saturday, and then the Xfinity race on Saturday. Had a great time at the race with my dad. It was awesome. Xfinity, there wasn't any clear-cut dominant truck or car like the Truck Series. It was between Nemechek and Custer, the best championship drivers. But then there was a couple of wrecks, including the fan-controlled car got dumped.
Not the fan-controlled car.
It was an interesting experiment to see how that.
Yeah, for sure.
I wasn't obviously watching the live stream of that because I was at the race, but it was interesting to have that
cool
concept.
Yeah, I agree with that.
For a struggling team, great way to get eyes on you. I'd love to see it again.
Yeah.
And then that was in the middle of the race, but then there's some more chaos at the end. Late caution led to an overtime finish where close racing, and there was a wreck, taking out Nemechek, and that left Cole Custer to win. Justin Allgaier and Sam Mayer were just kind of there. They were running around fifth all race, which...
Justin Allgaier ended up finishing third. Mayer ended up finishing fifth.
Yeah. So, yeah. And then, I will say, being at the racetrack, there's always some paint schemes that catch your eye. My personal favorite was Myatt Snyder's number 19 treetop car. I liked the green. And then I also liked the junior motorsports teammates of Justin Allgaier and Josh Berry. Their chrome-themed cars with the Brandt and Bass Pro Shops. They stood out a lot, as you can see right there, Ethan. And then I also liked Parker Kligerman's car at night because it really just popped with the bright orange. So great credit to all the people that designed those schemes. Great job there.
Two things real quick. Shout out, of course, Cole Custer winning the championship, but Justin Allgaier for the pick point. And also, maybe the most unfortunate part of us forgetting to record our first attempt at this episode, it's not the time lost. That's okay. We have plenty of time tonight. Probably the most unfortunate part is Andrew forgetting the word for chrome. That's no longer on the podcast episode, Andrew. That's really unfortunate.
Yay!
Moving on to some more serious stuff, maybe. The Cup Series finale. Mr. Ryan Blaney, your 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champion.
Blaney's my second favorite driver, and as being a primary Chase Elliott fan, I'm fine with what Chase had to go through to have Ryan Blaney win. Okay. I'm fine with that because I'm very happy that Blaney won because I've been both of their fans since their rookie year. That's when I started to get into the sport, and I thought to myself, who am I going to root for? I'll root for the young guys.
The rookies.
So, the rookies that year were Elliott, Blaney, and Eric Jones, who's my third favorite driver. And I still like him to this day. So, yay me, I guess.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a point. Ross Chastain won and smashed his melon, but NBC did not capture that, unfortunately, because they were watching Blaney celebrate the championship. And this... I
think we talked about this while watching the race. It's a little unfortunate for the guy that wins the final race of the season if you're not the championship winner as well, because, I mean, people kind of care, but who cares, because the championship was decided.
Right.
So, a little bit unfortunate.
Yeah.
There. But, yeah, Ryan Blaney did win. He does deserve all the attention. Shout out to him big time, and he got me a point.
However, during the race, there was a contact between Blaney and Chastain.
Yeah.
NASCAR official went up to Ross Chastain's spotter to tell him, don't race the 12.
Yeah, I don't think either of us like that.
And if you're Ross Chastain, you're racing the 12 because you're trying to get a win, get some momentum into next year, just so you have something to build off of. So, if anyone shouldn't be racing, it's Ryan Blaney because he has a 1+ second lead over Byron at that point. I think it was Byron. It might have been the other one. Not Bell, but Larson.
The other one.
Larson. They're both Hendrick cars. Yeah. Yeah, and with that, yeah. Now, like, just let them race.
Yeah.
I mean, we
totally.
should not be intervening here.
Yeah.
Let the race happen naturally. If Ross Chastain wants to take out Ryan Blaney there, let it happen.
No.
Let
Okay.
I mean, Well, let
That's
the
too
race.
far.
Let's let the racing play
Yeah,
out how
okay.
it naturally would.
Yes.
If Ross Chastain wanted to take out Ryan Blaney for some unknown reason, it would. There shouldn't be a NASCAR official saying no, we can't have that.
I disagree with that.
I think the racing should play.
If Ryan Blaney wants to be aggressive and take the lead of the race despite being in a safe position in second, and he does something to ruin his own race, then I think that's fine. I mean, I think if you take out the champion, I understand why they don't want the champion to be taken out, or a championship contender to be taken out in that scenario, but yeah, you gotta let them race.
I'm not saying Ross Chastain or whoever that whenever this could happen should do that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they can do that, and if they want to do it, let it happen. Let's have the racing be racing. Let's not manipulate it so that
I agree with that.
we just let the champion win the race. Although it is awkward to see a race winner that wasn't a champion, I think we should get as pure racing as we can. And with that being said, that was the first time Ross Chastain, Chastain was the first non-champion, the winner that wasn't the champion.
Yeah.
In that system. I think it's been going on for 10 years now, so...
It's been a while for that to happen.
So, and if when we're sitting here in 2033 talking about this, like we will be, I don't know. I do think that there will be more non-champion winners.
Yeah, you'd have to imagine so.
Yeah, Formula One had a Brazilian Grand Prix.
Yeah, it was a sprint weekend, so yay, sprint racing, woohoo! But the sprint in Sao Paulo was actually a pretty good sprint, so I'll just spend a little bit of time on that since it's only the sprint race. But essentially, Max Verstappen passed Lando Norris for the race lead pretty easily, and then took the sprint win. George Russell took the second place away from Lando Norris. Lando Norris got it back. So that was your 1-2 in the sprint race, as well as the main race. About as easy for Max Verstappen in the main race as it was in the sprint race. A little harder for Lando Norris to reach that second spot as he started 7th in the race. In that third spot of the main race, it was Fernando Alonso barely beating out Sergio Perez. It was a drag race to the line on the last lap. They were battling for a couple of laps, switching positions. It was a great battle to see. Sergio Perez 4th, Fernando Alonso 3rd. Really nice to see both Checo being competitive, relatively competitive anyway, and to see the Aston Martins back in competition. This was their best weekend in quite some time. Lance Stroll also top 5, finishing 5th. Great to see them back, adding some competition for the final couple of races, although Mercedes was absolutely nowhere to be seen, which was very surprising. Both me and Andrew picked a Mercedes to finish second in the sprint and the main race. That just didn't end up happening.
What do we know?
So, yeah. What do we know? On lap 1 of that race, there was a crazy crash going into the first corner. Kevin Magnussen, his teammate Nico Hülkenberg, and Alex Albon, who got the worst of it. All of them really had the race ruined. Magnussen and Albon DNF'd. Hülkenberg didn't, but his car just, he was involved in an accident, right? Oscar Piastri and Daniel Ricciardo also both involved in the accident. Oscar Piastri hit from the back, his rear wing broke, and then Daniel Ricciardo's rear wing was hit by a tire that got flown up in the air. Not something you see happen too much in that regard. It was a crazy incident. Thankfully, everyone is okay. But yeah, red flag before the race could even get underway. And then really from when the race resumed until a couple laps before the end of the race, it was just a pretty standard race, nothing too crazy. Lando Norris did very briefly challenge Max Verstappen before Max Verstappen remembered, oh yeah, I'm Max Verstappen driving a 2023 Red Bull. And he pulled away again. Wasn't the most exciting race ever, wasn't the most boring race ever, just kind of a standard 2023 Formula One race.
I will add that it's 2 races in a row that there's been a first lap crash in Formula One, which that's not all that common to see first lap crashes in Formula One.
Of that magnitude, especially. Like, you might see a car get pushed wide or off the track or something like that, but big first lap incident.
Yeah. Moving over to the World Endurance Championship, you had the number 8 Toyota Gazoo Racing team of Sebastian Buemi, Brandon Hartley, and Ryo Hirakawa getting their second win of the year in Bahrain. The number 41 team WRT of Rui Andrade, Louis Delatraz, and Robert Kubica getting their third win of the year. And
shout out Robert.
And the Iron Dames team winning their first race of Sarah Bovey, Ray Hall-Frey, and Michelle Gadding, which is the last race of LMGT3 AM and WEC.
Yeah.
So that's getting phased out for the it's LMGT EM getting phased out for LMGT3 AM. A lot of the same numbers there and letters. Great fun. And the Buemi Hartley Hirakawa number 8 Toyota Gazoo Racing won the championship. The number 41 team, won the championship in LMP2, which is the last LMP2 championship because that's getting phased out till Le Mans only rule next year of Andrade, Delatraz, and Kubica. And LMGT-AM was Nicky Katzberg, Ben Keating, and Nicolas Varone. Corvette Racing winning the last LMGT-AM championship and the final race for the Corvette Racing Factory team. So, and a couple other nuggets from Bahrain. Toyota won the Hypercar World Endurance Manufacturers Championship. So domination by Toyota there as one might have expected. And the Hertz Team Toyota beat the Proton competition for the FIA World Cup for hypercar teams. Really the only 2 cars there, both of them on different part-time schedules, so not really a fair fight. And the 3 races that Proton did win, Jota beat them out in all of them, so pretty much domination there. And going back to the NASCAR Cup Series, another couple nuggets I want to talk about here is that William Byron had 6 wins this year, and I didn't realize that he had that many. I thought it was more like 3 or 4. That surprised me. I don't know about you, Ethan.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you.
Most top 5s was Byron and Kyle Larson at 15. Most top 10s was William Byron at 21. Most poles was Christopher Bell at 6. With that, the best average start was Bell again at 9.61. Best average finish was William Byron was at 10.97. Laps led was Kyle Larson at 1,127. Laps completed was Chris Busch at 9,225. Most DNFs was Austin Dillon at 10. Going back to Buescher, that shows the consistency of RFK Racing this year. Both their cars actually making the playoffs this year, winning races on Buescher's team, and going deep into the playoffs. That consistency is how you build championship team, championship run. Got to improve a little bit, but RFK took the step they've needed to. You consider them. You have to consider them possible championship winners next year, and Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski. Races completed was Corey LaJoie.
The Iron Man Award.
Completing them all. He and his team stacked pennies every race, just like he does on his podcast. And races led was Denny Hamlin, 27 out of 36, which is 3/4 of them. And most points was William Byron with 1,198.
Obviously, Ryan Blaney deserves to win the championship. Not trying to take anything away from him. Big ups to him. He did an amazing job. However, we kind of talked about this. William Byron might have been the strongest driver of this season.
Yeah. Most wins, most top 5s, most top 10s, most points. Everyone knows what the system is. We've raced in the system for a long time, relatively speaking. So this isn't nothing new. Everyone knows what the system is.
Yeah.
So I'll credit to Ryan Blaney for doing what he needed to do, but I will say, William Byron had the best season this year.
He had an amazing year. Yeah.
Moving on to the news. Michael Andretti said, F1 teams think we are a bunch of hillbillies.
Yeah. He was saying that correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew, but basically in regards to why he believes that F1 teams don't want Andretti in F1.
Yeah, it was kind of that and how they run things.
Yeah.
How they run their team.
I kind of disagree with that statement. The Andretti name and family are extremely well respected in Formula One. There is a little bit of, American in F1, when you consider Logan Sargent hasn't had a great rookie year. The Haas car currently and at other times throughout that team's history has looked really weak. But I don't think that sentiment really crosses over to the Andretti family name. I think that it's more so that F1 teams just don't want more competition. Plain up. They don't want an 11th team on the grid. They don't want more competition. They don't want to split the revenue amongst one more team. I don't think it has anything to do with the Andretti's being American. I understand the frustration. I understand why that would be said, but I don't think it was the right thing to say, and I don't think it helps anyone, especially if you're trying to get into F1. And yeah, it's also just like a weird thing to say, in my opinion, because it's not like the Andretti's. The Andretti's are extremely well respected in Formula One, so I don't know. Just kind of weird.
Yeah, with that, if I'm a team, we know the team principals are gonna have some vote on this eventually, and if I'm a team principal, that's kind of on the bubble of can be swayed either direction, and if I have Michael Andretti saying these things about F1 while he's out of the sport, who knows what he's going to say when he gets in the sport, and it might persuade me to not vote. Yes, it's saying that they want Andretti. I don't know about you, Ethan, if you feel that way.
I mean, I don't think it'll have any real lasting effects. I think that this statement will be fairly quickly forgotten, but it's still just a really weird situation.
Yeah. Moving on, Interlagos to stay on the F1 calendar through 2030, which we both like.
Yeah, you love to see it. Everyone loves Brazil. We were talking about how, there's some chances that a Brazilian driver could get on the grid soon, whether that be Felipe Drugovich, who is currently with the Aston Martin program as a third driver, or Enzo Fittipaldi. There's some options there for a Brazilian to potentially make it to the grid in the upcoming years. Yeah, we would love to see that. The Brazilian fans are extremely passionate, and it's really nice to see Interlagos on the calendar through 2030.
Yep. Moving on to IndyCar, Romain Grosjean signs with Juncos Holinger Racing for the 2024 IndyCar season, which all I have to say is, oh boy. Romain Grosjean, you have one of the most fiery personalities in all of motorsports, no pun intended, and going against a fiery Agustin Canapino, who clashed a lot last year with his teammate Callum Ilott, who's known as the calm, cool, collected Callum, pun intended there, with that. I do think if you're not going to keep Callum Ilott, Romain Grosjean has proven himself to be a solid IndyCar driver. That's a good acquisition, I think.
Yeah, we've both talked a couple times now on Callum Ilott, and we both believe that he should have been given that seat. But if it's not going to be Callum Ilott, Romain Grosjean is the correct pick there. So, not mad with it. Like it, even. But yeah, like you said, it's going to be a spicy teammate dynamic, most likely.
Yep. Jacob Abel looks ahead to his IndyCar test debut with Dale Coyne. That's the same one that Enzo Fittipaldi is going to race in.
Yeah.
Or test in. I did notice that in the article, Jacob Abel is staying in Indy next for another season with his family-owned team, Abel Motorsports, and that they're aiming for to be in IndyCar in 2025 in some manner.
Yeah. Don't just look at the fact that he drives for his family's team and think that he doesn't deserve it. He hasn't gone out and, set the world ablaze, but he had a respectable season in Indy Next, finishing 5th in the championship, 4 podiums, also finished 3rd in Formula Regional Oceania with 4 podiums as well. So he's a competent driver. He deserves a test. There's no reason that he should be in IndyCar next season, so I like the move of him staying in Indy Next. But yeah, he deserves a test. Nothing against that, and we'll see where it goes from there.
Hit the nail on the head there, Ethan. But with Dale Coyne Racing, no one really knows. I haven't seen any rumors saying, "Oh, this is going to be one of the Dale Coyne seats." We don't know who it's going to be. I do look for Jacob Abel to possibly be there in 2025 with his team. Dale Coyne has aligned with a lot of teams. Jacob Abel's team did partner with the Enersons this year to race the Indy 500. So I do think there's a potential partnership there. But looking into this year, my best guess would be Callum Ilott and Devlin DeFrancesco for the 2 seats. You could say Stingray Robb. You could say there's Jack Harvey's name's been mentioned. Takuma Sato as a possibility for an oval-only schedule, maybe split with somebody. You have Daniel Frost. He's a possible driver that I've seen. But Dale Coyne's, he tends to take chances on guys that are young. Give them a lot of starts when they come up, and a lot of veterans who are on the out don't really have a seat. So it'll be interesting to see who he picks. He's run a great team over the years. And some breaking news. Well, Motorsport Games suspends development of the IndyCar game. No one's surprised by this. Motorsport Games, they haven't produced much, period. They've lost the NASCAR license. Hopefully they lose the IndyCar license because I don't have any hope for their product. I would like to, I'd like to see iRacing making a console video game like they are with NASCAR. And I'd like to see the IndyCar back on iRacing officially. It's kind of there unofficially, so yeah. That's my thoughts on that. Ethan, I don't know if you have any thoughts there.
No, just, I agree with what you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Moving on, we don't have any previews this week. First time since late January, early February where there's been no racing. So,
just some football, which we like as well, so can't complain too much there. But no racing. Mm-hmm. So instead,
let's go over the pick points here.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
I shouldn't bring that up. I'm winning by 50 million bajillion points, obviously. If
the standings are currently me with 67, and then Andrew in second, last place. It's a shame, really. With
it's still a podium. It's still a podium.
You have a chance to win still, but it's not looking good for you, buddy.
Yeah. So instead of a pick points preview, we're going to do something different. We are going over our perfect racing schedules
for
F1.
Do you want to, shift back and forth? You talk about your round one, I'll talk about my round one. Flip like that.
I think I'll go first. You can interject with any thought of what I have, and then you can go first, and then we'll kind of give our thoughts at the end.
Sounds good.
Starting off, basically how we're going to do this is for Formula 1, F2, and F3, we'll have dates, and we're going to base it on the Sunday date of next year. So starting off on the 11th of February, F1 will be testing at the Paul Ricard. A lot of different combinations on that track, and it's a test track.
Old Paul Ricard.
And it's central because you got teams in France, teams in Italy, and teams in England. That's not a far commute for anyone. F2 is going to go a little bit farther over to the Czech Republic in Brno, which is another great track. You can argue that it should be on the F1 calendar, but yeah. And I have F3 going to Zolder in Belgium, similar. It won't ever be on the F1 track because of Spa, and Belgium's not big enough of a country to host 2 races. I think, but yeah, just going to some other different places, spicing up the schedule a little bit. I didn't have any tracks on the same same. Each series has a different track, just to avoid complications. There's going to be a lot of testing sessions. Just make it easier. Spread us out over a small space. Excuse me. Next week I have an off week to just travel, because we're going to go where the season should start. Down Under, Albert Park, 25th February. All 3 series. Then I'm going over to have an off week, 3rd of March, And then the 10th of March, I am bringing back an old favorite, Kuala Lumpur Under the Lights.
You love to see it.
For just F1.
Sepang International Circuit. Or whatever they call it. But Sepang,
I think it's that.
It's an amazing track, really.
Yeah. And then March 17th, off weekend. But March 24th, I'm bringing back another track. There's 5 continents that are represented with a driver, team, or race. Africa is a continent without that. We're changing that. We're going to Kyalami.
I love it.
South Africa with F1 and F2. And then I'm going to have a week off for Easter weekend. That's commonly celebrated across Europe and North America and other parts of the world too, I guess. So I'm going to have that off. On the 7th of April, we are bringing all 3 series to Suzuka because F1 moved it earlier in the calendar next year. I'm going to put it there. And then we're going to have our first double of the year with April 7th and April 14th. April 14th being the China race in Shanghai with bringing F1 and F2 there. Then I'm going to have a week off on April 21st. And then April 28th, I'm introducing the North American Grand Prix, which will rotate every year on various North American road tracks.
I love that idea.
Not street tracks, just road tracks.
I really like that idea. I did something similar on my schedule, but not for North America. I kind of wish I thought of that. I like that idea a lot. There would be probably some issues with, FIA Grade 1 circuits. Yeah. There's only so many of them, but you could get some circuits up to spec. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like good pull.
This is and for this race, I am bringing what has been called the Spa of America, Road America for just F1 only. I think it's the Wisconsin in the Wisconsin wilderness, and then I'm going to another North American track, and that is Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Canada. The week after that on May 5th, I'm going to have an off week for next week, May 12th. And then I'm bringing all 3 series to Imola on the 19th. Okay. I might market that as the San Marino Grand Prix.
Yeah. Right now they call it the Emilia Romagna.
Just because it's so close to San Marino, I mean... It would be I don't know.
I would call it what they currently call it, the Emilia Romagna, because that's the region of Italy that it's in, and that's what they're currently calling it. Yes, historically it has been called the San Marino Grand Prix, but it isn't in San Marino, so I don't know. To me, that never really made a lot of sense.
And then on the 26th of May, in its traditional date, I'm having the Monaco Grand Prix weekend, all 3 series. Next week, I'm going to have off to start June, that's 2nd. But on the 9th, we are going to the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya, Spain. All 3 series.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into this when I go over my schedule, but Spain really does deserve an F1 track. But they also just don't really have a track worthy of F1.
Yeah. And then on the 16th, we are bringing back an old favorite, the Nürburgring.
Okay.
For all 3 series, Germany. And then on the 23rd, we're going to have an off week. And then on the 30th of June, we're going to Austria for the Red Bull Ring. And then the 7th of July, we're going to Great Britain for the British GP Silverstone. 7/14 off week. 7/21, that is June 21st. We're going to Hungary, all 3 series. And by the way, from Imola to Hungary, these are all 3 series racing. F1, F2, and F3. And finally, on the 28th of July, I have all 3 series going to Belgium. And then I have summer break, 3 weeks. August 4th, 11th, and 18th. And coming out of the summer break, for F1 only, I'm introducing an exhibition race.
So would this not count for points?
Not count for points. I don't know. Maybe bring like a spec car for this, because F1 cars aren't doing this, and it would take track upgrades, because the track has kind of fallen into disrepair for the Italy 500 at the Monza Oval. We're doing something different.
Very different. Very different. Yeah.
We're gonna turn right only. Some people would lose their minds over this, but it would be for an exhibition race only.
Andrew, your American is showing.
I do. I mean, everyone says F1's got the most diverse schedule. No, they don't. I don't see off-road racing. All I see is road and street racing. I don't see off-road racing. I don't see oval racing. I don't see anything different besides road and street racing. Let's just throw something different in there. Who knows? I think it could be great fun for everyone to see oval racing, and let's get a track back up to standards that's fallen disrepair. I think that's a great idea.
I like it, but I'm not sure how much the teams would care about a race that doesn't count for points.
Yeah. Moving on, following that week into August, I'm bringing all 1st of August. I'm bringing all 3 series into Italy for the regular Monza Grand Prix on the road course. I was thinking about having F3 be the week of the Italy 500, but I don't want to have different circuits. Different parts of the circuit being raced on.
Yeah.
And then on the 8th, I have an off week of August. And the 15th of August, we have the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort. Then on the 22nd of August, I'm bringing back an old with old, kind of new. All 3 series are going to Turkey, the Istanbul circuit, for the European Grand Prix, which, like the North American Grand Prix, is going to rotate every year. So, I want to get different tracks introduced, and I think Turkey is a great circuit that I wanted to put on this calendar full time, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I think it's a cool track.
It's, again, arguably one of the best circuits not on the F1 calendar.
Yeah, and it's not one of the Tilkodromes, as some people have put it. I'm bringing all 3 series there. Then I'm going to have an off week.
Well, I mean, Tilk designed it, but he did a good job.
Yeah, it wasn't a Tilkodrome. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm bringing off week August 29th. And now we're rolling into September, where we have the Singapore Grand Prix under the lights for Formula 1 and Formula 2. Then I'm going to have an off week on the 13th. And then on the 20th of September, I am having a night race. Going to have something similar, the Asian Grand Prix. This time I'm bringing back I think it's pronounced Buddha?
The Bud. Bud. I don't know.
Bud. That circuit in India, bringing it back, because like Turkey, has had some great racing there, has been on the F1 calendar in the past. So yeah, bring some.
Yeah, I really like these ideas with the because we've seen European Grand Prix in the past. I like this idea of the North American Grand Prix or the
Asian Grand
Prix. Yeah.
And it's adds a date where that changes every year. To get some different tracks, get tracks. Let's say I want Bud this year, and then we go back to Korea, and then we go to on that other tracks that are currently on the F1 calendar that I don't have in this. You'll see here because I don't have many races left.
Do you have an honorable mentions?
No, I don't have any honorable mentions. Then I have an off week on September 27th, and that is actually October 27th. Pardon me. And now we are going into November, and we have the Texas Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas for F1 and F2, followed by a double of the Mexico City Grand Prix on the 10th.
So that's the end of your F2 season?
No, it's not.
No?
There's that one here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. So that is the second to last race of F2. And then an off week, we go to, on the 17th of November, 24th of November, we go to Sao Paulo for just F1. And for the 31st of November, we have the United States Grand Prix, which is like the North American Grand Prix and the European and Asian Grand Prix is a rotating Grand Prix at street circuits only. Get to host at different street circuits. But to kick us off, I'm going to do a night race of Las Vegas.
Let's bring back the absolutely horrific Phoenix street circuit. Shout out to that Ayrton Senna mural downtown, just a couple blocks away from us.
Yeah. Well, they can't do it now because Chase Field exists onto the circuit.
Also, it's just the worst street circuit. Well, no, the Detroit street circuit existed.
Well, it's back, kind of. You can pick a lot of street circuits. Actually, I'd have to say the Caesar's Palace Grand Prix.
Oh, yeah, the parking lot race.
That takes the cake.
Yeah, I forgot about the parking lot race.
You'd also have to mention Dallas, too. Maybe we go back to some of these street circuits, but
maybe we can introduce
better.
Yeah, maybe we can introduce a segment later on in a couple of episodes of the worst tracks that IndyCar, F1, and NASCAR have ever raced at. That'd be a fun little segment to do in the future.
And then on the 1st of December, we have the final off week of the year. And then we go on the 8th of December, night race, all three series. They crown their champions, Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Yeah.
For just to sum up here, I have for F2, I have 15 races, 13 day, 2 night. For the F2, I have 20 races, 17 day, 3 night.
Wow.
I for the F1 race, F1 calendar, I have 25 races with 20 day, 5 night, with an exhibition race for the F1, and I have a test for each of them. One test instead of the 2 that we have now.
This is all I have to say. I like your calendar. I like the innovation. We love to see the innovation. 25 races is a lot. We already see teams and drivers not big fans of even 23 races, you know.
24 next year.
Yeah. 25 is... That's a lot of races.
I do think 25 is the max F1 can go. I don't think there's any way we're getting to 26. I mean, I do think 25 is the sweet spot. I say no, if we're doing no less than 20, or if we're doing less than 20 races, something's gone wrong for Formula 1. Because with the boom that we're in, the amount of racetracks available, something would have to go wrong.
I think that, you have a long calendar, 9 out of 12 months of the year. It's
10 actually.
Oh,
actually 11.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've about 2 months off, and then the summer break.
Yeah.
Which is another 3 weeks.
That would make F1 a very year-round sport.
But I will say, I didn't have any triple headers, which I do feel that's something that the teams complain about most is triple headers.
That's
That's something I avoided. I'd rather have a longer calendar.
That's fair.
I'd rather have an extra month of calendar than 3 triple headers or whatever. That's my opinion. That's my take.
Yeah.
All right, Ethan, would you like to unveil yours?
Sure. Starting with some ground rules. I capped myself at 21 races. Maybe some people think that's a little short. I think, Andrew, you might think that's a little short. But I think...
Just like your height.
I did. Uncalled for. Not, you're a giant. That's unfair. You can share,
I can't. I'm physically unable.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I could. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah. So, 21 races on the calendar for me. I feel like that's the sweet spot. Maybe 22, but, I don't want to go higher than that. I also don't have any triple headers, and I have 15 races for Formula 2 and 11 for F3. I think right now F3 might be 11, but maybe it's a little less. But I believe that F2 is 14 races currently, so this is actually one more race for F2, but I'll get into the schedule. I don't really have, this isn't a finished project. It is in the sense that this is what I'm presenting, but, this is something that can be expanded on, built upon. If you are listening, let us know your thoughts about these schedules, what you would do to, in your mind, improve them. So, no specific testing, but I'm thinking that Barcelona is a good track for testing, have it there, and then hopping into round 1, under the lights, all 3 categories. I have Bahrain. I know that Australia is kind of seen as what should be the opening race by a lot of people, but I have Bahrain under the lights. I feel that's a really special atmosphere. And that is on the 3rd of March. Yes. So I have my calendar, I'll just say this real quick, going from the 3rd of March spanning until the 10th of November. So March 3rd, Bahrain, under the lights, and then a week off, coming back on the 17th, we have the Australian Grand Prix, again, all 3 categories. And then the first doubleheader of the year, I have Japan. I don't remember. Did you have Japan on your schedule?
I did have Japan. Okay. I didn't have Bahrain on my schedule.
Oh, okay.
And it's an interesting thing of note that we both had Japan as our part of the first doubleheader.
Yeah.
On both of our schedules.
I think Japan is moving towards a start of the season role next year on the actual calendar, and I like that. It's not like a huge deal for me where it is in the season, but I like that move. I also believe that I really like the Bahrain track, so I think it deserves a spot on the calendar, so that's why I have it there. And then, like Andrew, I have Easter off, coming back the next weekend with Malaysia, Sepang. I don't have F3 there, and I didn't have F2 or F3 at Japan, kind of just easing them into the season. And also, those categories don't have as much support. I think that, this calendar isn't 100% realistic. There'd be some things that would have to change. It's not impossible, but F1 would have to support F2 and F3 more for my calendar to exist. But just keeping costs down a little bit, I don't have them going to Japan. But I do have round 3 of Formula 2 going to Malaysia. Then a week off, coming back, round 5, I have Indianapolis, and the week after that, Canada. So I have Indianapolis road course. I think that I like Andrew's idea of a North American Grand Prix that rotates. So, maybe insert that idea here, but the Indianapolis road course is already FIA Grade 1, ready to go. Makes sense to me to have an Indianapolis Grand Prix. And for everyone that says that F1 doesn't need 2 American races, like, yes, that is true, but the U.S. is such a big country that it does make sense in my mind to have more than one race, even if a country in Europe only has one. And then, like I said...
I will say, the United States is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, with its market, it's not all clustered in one area.
Mm-hmm.
For Formula One, so if you hit a track like Indianapolis, which is kind of in the northeast part of the country, generally speaking, all the people in California, they're not going to fly out to Indianapolis.
Yeah. And that's why, I don't have any race on the west coast of the U.S. But, so yeah, that is an issue, really. But that's just kind of the way it is.
I've got
for example, probably the most well-known course that could be seen as F1 caliber over on the west coast is in right next to Monterey, California, Laguna Seca. That track is currently FIA Grade 2, and it would need some work to get up to FIA Grade 1, and they'd probably have to even change the track itself, which I don't think anyone wants to do, because that track is great for what it is. So I don't think anyone wants to change that.
With me, I get rid of in my dream schedule, I get rid of the FIA grades and just say, is it good enough to race F1? Yes or no?
Well, that's why the grades exist.
Well, in theory, yes, I agree with you. But in practice, I think it's just...
tracks...
you look at Laguna Seca. I think it's good enough to host F1 right now as it is.
It's too narrow, the corkscrew, for it being one of, if not the best features on a race course in North America, is probably not suitable for F1 cars. And
okay. That is fair.
And the facilities, the FIA wants there to be, so many grandstands and this and that. I don't know if Laguna Seca would. Obviously, those are easier to put in.
Yeah, relatively.
Yeah. But I don't know if in its current state, Laguna Seca would meet those standards of the FIA grading system. And also just safety features. I don't know if the track is considered safe enough for F1 cars. So there are things that, need to be considered. I would, in a perfect world, Laguna Seca, F1, that'd be awesome. But just trying to keep the list somewhat realistic, I don't think a track like Laguna Seca could ever host F1 the way things are going. But, yes, continuing after...
I've got another question.
Yeah.
For Indianapolis, are we going the current Indy GP layout, which is currently, I'm showing Ethan, or the old F1 route going through this chicane and having the following turn 1 of the speedway? What layout are we using here? Or do you want to have it up to, I don't know, whoever, or does it really matter?
Well, it does matter. I envision them going through the old F1 chicane. Really, though, the reason that we didn't have a U.S. Grand Prix for some time, and why when it returned it wasn't at Indianapolis, is because of the issues of F1 cars going around what would be turn 14. So if the tire technology, which is better now, allows for it, then...
And there also isn't a tire war now.
Yeah. So if the aerodynamic packages and tires and, all those things that go into a decision like that allows for it, I would love to see that, Horner. And if not, it's really not the end of the world. We'll have the IndyCar layout.
I find it interesting.
I guess that would be turn... Well, no, it would be turn 14 because,
Yeah. I do find it interesting that tires were part of the reason why NASCAR and F1 left the Indy racetrack in a way, with NASCAR moving to the road course and then F1 leaving it. Yeah. But let's get back on course here.
So,
what do you got for me here?
I don't have Monaco. Okay. Rewinding a little bit. So, yes, Indianapolis, and then the week after that, another doubleheader with Canada, Montreal, Gilles Villeneuve. I don't have any support races for those weekends. Again, just trying to keep the costs down, trying to ease them into the season. Something that I really don't like that creates is that makes a huge break in the schedule for F3. I'm not in love with that. But we move on. So yes, I don't have Monaco in its, I guess, historic spot. I have it 2 weeks earlier. But I do that to kind of symbolize the start of the European, Eurasian section of the calendar. And I have F2 and F3 as support races. Then we have another week off, coming back with Azerbaijan and Turkey as a doubleheader. I love the Baku street circuit. It's one of the best street circuits there is, in my opinion. Was that an omission on your calendar, Baku?
Baku was an omission on my calendar.
I really enjoy Baku. I think it's something different. And Turkey I have as a permanent race on my calendar. One of the best tracks that we don't see.
Yeah.
And both of those races are supported by both the junior categories. Then after Turkey, another week off, we have round 10, the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Again, both support series, and that carries over for the next weekend, where I have the European Grand Prix. I didn't have the idea for a North American Grand Prix or an Asian Grand Prix. I was not innovating, but I do have the European GP. This race would, it would switch off. Maybe there would be a poll of what fans want to see that year before the season starts. I think that would be a really great way to get fans involved. Maybe the circuits themselves would bid for the rights to hold a race because, the FIA is all about that money.
Yeah.
But this race would theoretically go between the Nürburgring, Portimao, Catalunya, Imola, Mugello, Zandvoort, all these great European tracks that...
Paul Ricard.
No, not Paul Ricard.
Any French track whatsoever, like
Magny-Cours.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess we could do the Bugatti layout of the Le Mans. Yeah, so any of those and many more great tracks that we just don't really have room for on my calendar, unfortunately, but you would see them every couple of years and you'd look forward to them on the schedule. And then we have a week off before we have the German Grand Prix, and notice how I didn't include Hockenheim in that European Grand Prix discussion, because I went Hockenheim as a permanent race. I like the Nürburgring as well, but I do prefer Hockenheim. I think it's a great track. It's a shame that we don't race there anymore. Supported by both F2 and F3, and that is another doubleheader before entering the summer break. That race is at Austria.
I will say, you brought back Hockenheimring, I brought back Nürburgring.
Yeah.
So we clearly both want to race in Germany. I think a lot of fans feel that way. And if anyone within the FIA or F1 is listening to us...
First off, what are you doing?
First off, what are you doing? Second of all, thank you. And third of all, bring back Germany.
Yes.
In some way.
Bring back Germany in some way.
I think whether it is Nürburgring, Hockenheim, it's fans will love it.
Yeah.
Fans will go crazy. A lot of German fans, you have Mercedes, you have Audi coming, you have had a lot of great German drivers, Nico Rosberg, the Schumachers, and Nico Hülkenberg, German driver on the grid. I think he would like to have a home race.
Yeah, I'm sure. So yes, that final race before the summer break would be the 14th of July. 4-week break, coming back August 18th with Belgium. That race would also be bringing F2 and F3 back from their summer breaks. And then that is a doubleheader with Monza. I don't have Imola or Mugello as an Italian GP spot. They are part of the European GP rotation in my eyes. That race is also supported by F2 and F3. And unfortunately, I think just kind of looking at the locations of my next races, this is round 15 for F1, round 11 for F3. Unfortunately, I think that this does end the F3 schedule. It's the second level away from F1, so it doesn't get the funding that F2 does. It doesn't get the same love that F2 does. It's obviously an extremely important spot on the road to F1. You're not getting to F2 without F3, unless you do something crazy. But yeah, I'm gonna have to end the season there. However, the F2 season will continue along with round 16 of F1 in South Africa. Great minds think alike, Andrew. There needs to be a race in Africa for it to be a global sport that F1 brands itself as.
Yeah.
So, I have, again, Kyalami. The only issue there is that is an FIA Grade 2 circuit. That could be fixed relatively easily. Kyalami has been an FIA Grade 1 circuit in the past. The owner of, unless he sold it, since this was a discussion, which I don't think he has, the owner of the Kyalami circuit, I believe he is also the CEO of Porsche South Africa. He owns the circuit. He expressed interest in getting it back up to grade Uno specifications. So yeah, I think that there's really nothing stopping a South African Grand Prix from happening. And then round after that, a week break between Italy, South Africa, week break. Coming back round 17, India. F2 is there as well at the Bud circuit. Another circuit being brought back. Another circuit that a lot of fans want to see brought back. Unfortunate how, despite a huge fan base in India, that race no longer exists. So I'm bringing it back. And then I have another week break before I have Singapore starting, no F2, but that race will be October 6th. Under the lights, of course, Singapore Street Circuit. It's a tight street circuit, not a lot of, there's always something crazy that happens there, though, and that's why I'm bringing it back. Then you have another week break, and then I have COTA, which will also be F2. F2's final race of the season, round 15 for them. Circuit of the Americas, great track. Another week break, November the 3rd, we come back, and I kind of did something that I don't love. I don't hate it. I'm going to be reviewing it and potentially, can't do anything, but what I wrote down was round 20, Argentinian Grand Prix.
Really?
Yeah. There's a lot of fans in Argentina. There's no race in Argentina, but I don't love it. I wanted to get Mexico on the calendar, but that circuit is just not it. And the thing is, a race in Argentina would probably also not be it. So it's just kind of throw your hands up. What am I gonna do? What am I supposed to do? I guess what I would rather do now, looking at it, is kind of a bit of a European Grand Prix scenario. Get some tracks in South America up to specification. You could include Mexico. I know it's not in South America, so maybe just bill it as an Grand Prix of the Americas. You could
maybe
switch.
The Latin America Grand Prix?
Yeah. You could switch between Argentina, Mexico. There's got to be some other countries that would love to host an F1 race. So that's that. And then last race of the season on the 10th of November, I have Brazil. Brazil should close out the season, not Abu Dhabi. That's my opinion. I think that's an opinion a lot of F1 fans have. It should just close the season. Just makes sense. It's such a historic season closer, season finale.
Yeah.
I sense disappointment in your voice, Andrew.
I'm not disappointed. I'm just. I will say when I made this, it was hard.
Yeah, it was very hard.
It was hard getting it to 25, and you got it to 21. Yeah. I will say I'm just going through the schedule now. We both let out Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I think that track's too dangerous in my opinion.
I'm not a fan of the track and the country really, but the track is the bigger problem there, I think. We both let out Miami. Miami is a possible race for the what is currently branded as the USGP under my schedule. Yeah, I mean, it's an okay track. It's not special.
It's not great.
Yeah, so I mean,
that's kind of what I was trying to do with my schedule. There's some tracks on here that aren't amazing, but I really wanted quality over quantity.
Yeah. Moving on down the line, neither of us had Qatar, and I'm going to group that with, for me, not leaving out Baku and Bahrain, is that those three markets are smaller markets. I'd rather go have a rotating track that goes there every so often.
Middle East Grand Prix.
Well, the Asian Grand Prix.
Okay.
Well, you'll have races from India, South Korea, Bahrain.
Yeah. I wanted to put South Korea on the schedule.
Yeah.
Maybe that Vietnam race that never happened.
Yeah, maybe that. I'm looking at this. You left Imola out full time.
Yeah.
We can agree. It's not as good as Monza.
Yeah, it just isn't. It's a good track, but yeah.
Yeah, you left out Barcelona.
I did. Yeah. And that was really hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
Leaving out Mexico and Spain were the hardest calls for me. Both of those countries have such passionate fans. Both of those countries deserve a race.
Yeah.
But neither have a track worthy of a race, if we're being perfectly honest.
Here's an idea. Do you want to bring back the Valencia street circuit back?
No, that track was not it.
No?
It's also fallen into complete disrepair. I think it had like one good race, but no one's mourning its passing, unfortunately.
You also didn't have.
It was a cool idea.
You also didn't have China on there.
I didn't have China on there. Here's the thing. We haven't had China in a few years, and I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really missed it. It's kind of just a whatever track for me. It's a here's where the unrealistic part kind of comes in. I'm sure F1 would love to race there again because of the market potential.
Yeah.
So, makes sense. But yeah, I don't have China on my schedule.
A huge market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have India on here. That's another huge market, and it's already an established market. So why not take advantage of that F1? And I know it's not really F1's fault. It's there's bureaucracy issues in India that are preventing the race from happening. But yeah, that's really unfortunate.
You also didn't have Hungary.
I didn't. That was another tough call for me. That would be lumped in the European Grand Prix. I wanted to involve Hungary, and I really do like that track. I really do. But when I was thinking about it, it was just kind of like, yeah, I can afford to lose it.
And similar, no Zandvoort.
Yeah, no Zandvoort.
Kind of the same thoughts.
Yeah, same thoughts as Hungary.
You didn't have the Las Vegas Strip.
I didn't.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it yet, but I don't expect to love it. I'll put it that way.
And no Yas Marina entirely.
Yeah, no Yas Marina. It's improved after the renovations.
Yeah. But
that's like saying a D is better than an F. Like, yeah, technically, but you know.
You kind of hit on the tracks that you would have in each rotating Grand Prix more than I did. But I'm going to go through a couple tracks. For North America, I'm thinking Road America is a start. I do like Sonoma and Monterey, Laguna Seca. I'm just going through geography now. I do like Watkins Glen, Mid-Ohio, Birmingham, which is Barber, and the Flat Rock, which is coming soon in Tennessee. No, I'm not putting the Bristol Dirt Race on here. That wasn't interesting. I'm not that crazy. I'm also thinking maybe a Charlotte Roval if I'm feeling crazy enough. Indianapolis.
I would like to see Charlotte Roval. Maybe just once, but I would like to see the Charlotte Roval.
Sebring, Road Atlanta, the Daytona Road Course.
Yeah.
I think that's about everything that's coming to my mind at the moment. I'm just Virginia, Lime Rock,
Mm-hmm.
couple cool tracks up there. Watkins Glen, if I didn't say it already, I
Yeah.
might have. Yeah. The European, I have Turkey, even though some might say it's not European. Mugello. I'm going to maybe like Donington Park. Couple other British tracks I'm not thinking of at the moment.
Brands Hatch.
Brands Hatch, yeah, that's one of them.
Yeah, I didn't include. I was thinking about
Mhm.
mentioning that for myself, but realistically, that's never racing F1 cars again.
Yeah, I'm not realistic. Yeah, this is a dream. This is, there are no pipes in this room, but this is pipe dream. I also have Valencia as a possibility. The Algarve circuit,
Mm-hmm.
Portugal. I love that track.
Portimao is great,
In
my opinion.
Paul Ricard, Magny Cours, the Le Mans Bugatti circuit, Zolder, Brno. Maybe I don't know of any tracks up in the Scandinavia region, but there should be one. Maybe a Russian or turn to a Russian Grand Prix at some point.
Yeah, as long as it's not Sochi.
Yeah, and
Also
Igor Drive.
Yeah, also the political.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where,
that's why I said at some point.
yeah.
I mean, not now, obviously. Well, I'm saying not now. I'm trying to think. The Hockenheim Ring is another track. I think that's about all of them. I'm coming to mind. And then Asia, South Korea, Buddha, maybe Vietnam. Then you throw in your Dubai.
The Dubai circuit.
Yeah, Dubai, Baku, Bahrain, Qatar. I'm not. If Saudi Arabia actually built a track instead of that street circuit, yeah.
Or if they made it safer.
Yeah. I don't think there's any other tracks in India or China, really. Actually, there is one in China. Zhuhai, I think.
Okay.
And then maybe another Japanese race like
Fuji. Yeah,
or
Fuji would be cool.
there's another Japanese track that no one really knows about that I've played in Project Cars 2 that's good that I'm not thinking of.
I didn't say this, but potentially for my schedule, you switch off 1 year, you go Fuji, 1 year you go Suzuka, switch that off.
I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but yeah.
What was that that race, that IndyCar race in Japan, the Danica Patrick
Twin
one?
Ring Motegi, there too. That was not the one I was thinking of, but yeah, there's that. And then for the U.S., Las Vegas, Long Beach, Chicago, Miami. Then we bring back other street circuits, maybe Denver, the current Detroit, Belle Isle, Detroit, Cleveland Airport.
Bring back the Phoenix street race.
I don't know if I said Dallas. St. Petersburg. I think that's about
the
all
thing
of them,
about
yeah.
street races. You can create one. Someone could look at someone could go San Francisco and create one. Like
yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention other North American tracks outside of the U.S., but maybe. I mean, North America. I don't know if there's any other. A Canadian Tire for that.
There's
I don't
tracks
know.
in Canada.
I don't know if there's any others, but in Mexico. But yeah.
I would love to see a race in the Caribbean. I don't know what the chances of that are, but that would be pretty sick.
I think it would have to be a street circuit.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking.
I think there was. What was it like?
Wasn't there one? Oh, there was one in Cuba. Actually.
Was it Havana?
Yeah, Havana.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, think
there'd probably be
Fangio got kidnapped in one of those races. Yeah.
There'd probably be some political issues there, so probably not.
Maybe on the island of Hispaniola, which contains Dominican Republic and Haiti. My memory serves me. Maybe Jamaica. Maybe Barbados, Cayman Islands, Virgin Islands.
Get Zane Maloney in F1 for that Barbados race.
Kiffin Simpson, and then as well as maybe Bahamas.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is All right.
We expected this episode to be one of the shorter ones, but this was a fun discussion. We kind of let time get away from us.
Fun conversation.
Yeah. If you're still here, thank you very, very much, as this episode is approaching an hour and a half.
Longest episode.
Yeah, we were thinking that this might be the shortest. So, again, what do we know? We're still getting used to this whole podcast thing. We will be back next week. Make sure to like, share, everything, comment, subscribe. Yeah. That's Andrew. I'm Ethan. Thank you very much for tuning in. See you next week.
Boom.